button.
Welcome back
Do be
to
like that.
Welcome back to it being like that. Exalted Essence. Last time, narrative flash forward, the dealing with the fallouts of your friend's utter annihilation. Catching up and establishing infrastructure with the locals in the River Trading Company area after the sudden power vacuum, investigating Delos to make sure how much of his story was legit and how much of the actual culpability was on him. Turns out he actually had been largely taken for a ride on this one. He was a guild factor, he was not a great person, but your friend had given him an amulet that was being used to influence his actions and curse his luck and make him more desperate, basically as a setup to just being a bastard. And then an eventual escape valve plan once you began to pressure him, which fell apart spectacularly. On top of that, Milan went down to the fork of the river down below Gonzoda to set up the first real foundations and introductions to the gods of the area, of the settlement for any refugees and expatriates and people who will be leaving the Isle from House Venif and Associates, and got a surprise visit from Swift Swarm of Convenience. That was it. The Locust God that had been petitioned earlier for assistance with dealing bureaucratically with the Executor. Turns out it was very much not the kind of god that you would normally go to through understandable, not the kind of god you would go through usual channels to deal with the situation, but that also made it kind of perfect for it because Swift Swarm didn't really care about a lot of the politics and was just kind of blunt and straightforward because just kind of a thing for him to be like, oh wow, I'm talking to human beings that are not begging for me to put the locusts somewhere else for once. This is a novelty, and they have snacks. So it was quite easy to get him talking and give some extra information about the sidereal situation in the region.
Oh, hey, this mortal wanted me to put my locusts here.
You're actively asking me to do that? Are you sure? Okay, sure, all right.
Saves me the trouble clear cutting this scrubland.
Yep. So there was that. There was Angler visiting the family with Absolute Pros to visit Shireen. Angler caught up with the kids and informed Furious Cascade as to all of the wonderful things that they had been up to, and the fact that they are very much not dead, very much not, in pieces, despite everything, again. At this point, Cascade is becoming used to it, even if indignant. Had some words of advice and wisdom before catching up. Repose, meanwhile, caught up with Shireen, and how Shireen is settling in. And a solid heart-to-heart conversation was had about the role of the celestial bureaucracy in dealing with the troubles of the terrestrial bureaucracy and the world in general. And all of these world-shaking events are going on, and when you pray to heaven and heaven falls silent, what kind of conclusions should you make from that? And some nice conversations about praxis were had about that. Some nice introductions into this is how shit works out here on the fringes, where it is not controlled with a death grip, and heaven does not actually have a begrudging duty to show their face occasionally and look like they are doing their job well. Beyond that, I believe that is most of the catch-up of what happened last time. I might be missing something offhand, if I don't remember.
Yeah, those were events.
Yes. So, right now, we are still kind of in the narrative fast-forward period. At this point, I would say, looking at the calendar, allowing my cat to adjust herself and stretch out even further on my desk to fall asleep. We are at the 4th week of Ascending Wood, somewhere around there at this point. The crew is still probably going around doing the established one-on-one stuff that was done. Right, there was also the establishment of the artifact for Obsidian. The ringing steel was completed.
Sword is known.
Sword is known, sword is named, sword is very, very excited. Very, very, very happy to help.
Sword is demonstrated.
What I want to know is, what has Old Man been up to?
What has been Old Man
I
been
have
up
no
to?
idea.
I do actually have an idea.
What has been up to
Okay.
Old Man?
If you want to take the suggestions. As one of the follow-up story plot hooks that people had mentioned but not quite gotten to yet was, what the hell's up with Jimbus? Jimbus has been... People have been asking and
Old man would
confirming.
have no interest in Jimbus at all, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I was just checking in on that. So, there is another possibility that I would have for what Old Man would be up to, if we don't want to just leave it as a narrative, weird, strange old man things happened. Is Sybil would actually be interested in having a conversation with him at some point if he could be found. Would Old Man reciprocate in any way, or, you know?
Yeah, sure, he's not hard to find anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so this is probably, you know, in the mists of the fast forward, I would say Old Man has probably wandered off not too far from the hearth, but is definitely out of the main city, is out in either the swamps or, you know, high places, doing the usual standard meditations, observations, getting used to the new form of existence that Old Man has, the strange fractal soul situation going on.
Part of the thing is that if someone wants to is interested in like getting Old Man's help, he can hear that now, kind of regardless. And so if he's nearby enough, he could probably just turn into birds real quick and just show up. Hey, what's up? Kind of thing. Not literally going, hey, what's up? That's the thing I say now. That's
hello, fellow kids. But yeah, there was probably a very odd sensation at first from Old Man, because yeah, you now actually are able to be receptive to prayer due to exigency and celestial exaltation. It's not a prayer so much as a kind of gnawing at the back of your head of a general awareness of something in this area wants my attention, but it is not a singular source, it is distributed, until it very much collapses into a single source, and then two sources, and then at that point, if you begin to investigate, it's pretty easy to find at this point. You would just go onto one of the nearest main roads, and it would be Sybil and Guan with the Duchess walking down the road, trying to generally look for signs of Old Man. Clearly, they are just kind of going and expecting either something like this to happen or for traces to show up.
Well, see, Old Man also wants to speak to Guan as well because he wants to rub things a little bit in his face.
Yeah, no, that's very, very appropriate. So, yeah, no, this is actually going to be a fun conversation. So, how would Old Man want to, like, have an entrance of any form, or would he just step on the road? How would he be feeling about this?
He'd be hanging down from whatever tall tree, as one of the few instances still of him extending out the grippy parts of Wood Dragon Claws. He'd basically descend down with those extending, with the sound of sort of like the sound that makes when you pull plastic wrap really tight.
Ooh.
You know, and then like just keep on pulling in, but not quite until it snaps.
Yeah, right until the
absolute
point of tension. Yeah,
yeah.
So yeah, you just do that, and Sybil jumps a little bit. The Duchess kind of rears up backwards a little bit. Guan doesn't even blink an eye. Is very much had clearly noticed you, but didn't say anything because, probably found it funnier that way. Looks up to you, or found it that it would be giving you too much satisfaction. Looks up. Oh. Nice if you do have joined us. Would you like to care to take a seat? He gestures to one of the seats back on the Duchess. Take a walk. He kind of gesticulates with a hand, letting you answer.
And then, with a very complicated series of movements of trying to, like, not have to move from his, like, height position, but rotate in place sort of thing by moving one leg down to land on the ground and like shrink that at the same time, and then gyroscopically stabilize, stand up, and then shrink down, pretty much. Yes. Oh.
Oh, you cut off there for a sec.
Yeah. Yes. I would love a ride. Quite old, you know.
Yeah,
my joints hurt a little.
Guan is just kind of watching this with a actually roll me fortitude and integrity, just to kind of get the read of the situation from the two of them.
Sure thing. Yeah. Pretty good at reading people still.
So you are able to just barely get a tremor, because Guan has an incredibly good poker face. You can tell immediately, basically on par with yours before taking any sort of effort into it. But you are able to see just this briefest off-guard moment of of course you're trying to show off. Like this kind of not giving you the satisfaction, but internally just going, yeah, of course. While Sybil is very much just more openly going, oh, that's cool looking. Not weirded out, just like, oh, wow, that's new. And the Duchess, meanwhile, is just... Clearly, this animal has seen shit that you can barely conceptualize, so this is just, okay, another new strange thing, but
That's just someone, but they're long. That's not that weird.
Yeah. That's, like, mom and dad are not telling me to kill it or run away, so I am not actually worried now.
Yeah, the other part of this is like, oh, he's showing off not only by doing this cool move, but also by accepting hospitality and
that is exactly
complaining about his joints.
Yeah, that is exactly in Guan's like, yeah. But Guan just kind of, gestures again with the hand. Well, of course, we'll continue along our way. We were on the way towards... Where was... He double-checks his map. Anerma's Rest, right. To the north. Don't think it should take you too far out of the way of your hearth if you need to get back to them in a hurry.
Oh, you know, I could always get back to them in a hurry.
It's the principle.
I have multiple ways to do so now.
Really, is it not just the cloud anymore?
I guess, like, a couple of moments and Old Man will, like, burst his hand into birds, I guess.
That actually makes Guan raise his eyebrows. Uh-huh. Yeah. How's that treating you?
I'm not very good at it still.
It takes a lot of practice, and it takes a certain kind of mindset for that to be natural, he says.
I lost one of them permanently already.
Sybil, wait, hold on, that happened? And Guan's like, not for me, but like, sorcerer. What did you lose?
Oh, my right toe. My right big toe.
Oh, that's what happened with the gauntlets, isn't it? That's what they said.
That is exactly what happened with them. It was an interesting experience. It doesn't hurt or anything like that. It's just gone.
Yeah, I suppose that would be how it works if it's using a sorcerer's way of splitting it up rather than... Anyway, I digress.
Which it actually isn't. That this is yet another way of why Old Man's stuff is weird and unique. It's not supposed to be permanent damage.
It's not. But again, you can tell Guan is already accounting for, you don't work the normal way.
Mm-hmm.
Guan continues down the road as Sybil hops up onto the Duchess, kind of scrambling over a couple of crates and taking a seat next to you. So it looks like you've made, I don't think progress is the right word. She is just kind of smiling at you as she leans back into it.
I've reached the next level.
There we go. Ordinarily I'd be asking if you'd be stopping at this point, but I feel like you're not going to, but at the same time, I'm not sure where there even is to go for you. She just kind of leans in, eyes a little, not quite starstruck, but so much as fascinated, as just like, this is something new.
I'm not sure either, but the thing is that I'm pretty sure the old man looks down at himself and then like thinks about this. I'm at least reasonably sure I've got all the time in the world to think about it. Ambition can wait. I will get it in the future, I'm sure.
Sybil just is chuckling to herself at that one. Well, I wouldn't say you have all the time in the world, unless you are a considerably new development, but you certainly have far more than you did even before. As for ambition, oh, believe me. If you think you've got a goal, and you think you're striving for that goal, and you get it, and you've succeeded, and you're on top of the mountain, you've done everything you feel like, that's the most dangerous part of your life. You know that, right?
I can explain that away already. You don't even summed it up yourself. I'm on top of the mountain. Top of the mountain's not the top. Still always yet higher to go.
And that's
the sky is right there.
That's the danger. She leans in. Because if you let that climb start consuming you, if you start to think that that's the only thing that matters is keep going, is that your goal is done now, so the next thing to do is just make that goal bigger, to keep going, to keep going, to keep going, to keep going. There isn't you don't stop. There isn't a stop. Well, theoretically, I suppose there would be, but if you
I think there's a fundamental difference in that I enjoy the climb. I would never have admitted this before, but I do.
Oh, she's like, again, it is a kind of unsettling smile at this point. It is less a friendly kind of casual smile. She has in more the uncomfortable, I know what you're talking about kind of smile. Yeah, that's the problem, is when you start to enjoy it. And you start discounting other little bits and pieces of your life, and you start paying a little less attention to them, because, I mean, why not? You know, she just gestures. Why not go to the wild and talk to the Fae? Why not seek out their ideas? Maybe that'll help you go climb higher. Why not try practicing with, a sword made of Malthian brass? That's something you haven't mastered yet. The more that you pursue and the more you try to feel that hunger of getting better, of going higher, of learning more, you start to narrow down that path you can walk. By seeking infinite potential, you lock yourself up, is my worry.
Oh, gonna go ahead and extend my legs to really get comfortable and then like pull them back in, because it's like, oh, I can't keep these extended for too long. That feels gross.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, yeah, pull them back in and lean back with the probably the only time that either of these two have actually ever seen Old Man relaxing. And think about, like, I see what where you're coming from with that.
She leans back and thinks for a second
But I think I can temper it with patience.
You'd be a lot better than I would have. She kind of gestures, spinning backwards past her head, like trailing a line back towards the past and trailing off. Patience was never exactly my strong suit in any form of me, it seems like. That is definitely something that you're going to want people around you, or a very, very tempered will to keep in check, is all I'm warning you. It's easy to get carried away with the rush of power. Very easy.
Oh, don't worry about, at least for this first ascension. I've already gotten that out of my system. There's chunks of... It was around the redoubt. That's right, yeah. There's chunks around the redoubt which spent a good couple of weeks being frozen. And not just in an amethyst state either. I mean water ice.
Oh no, I figured.
Water ice?
Water ice.
there are other forms of ice. Any liquid can become a solid. But anyway.
No, sorry, you just activate some. Don't worry about it.
Now look, let me talk to you about air. Now you see.
So, Sybil thinks to herself for a moment. Now, part of what I'm really fascinated by watching your progress on is that you're all self-taught. And I don't want to tell you any of the usual ways of doing things. I don't want to get into whatever you're doing, because that might be like dropping a rock in a pond and having the stillness break. But I am curious about something, to see how universal some of the rules are. You know what you gave up?
Old man actually has no idea what he gave up on this. On this.
Yeah,
Second,
that's why
level
she's
bit.
that's why she's
Yeah.
asking.
Well, starts thinking about it. It's like, what I gave up for the first level, that was pretty simple. That was just a requirement of the elixirs and the asceticism. More of the elixirs than the asceticism, even. That the asceticism was mainly for, well, this. And then here, he actually starts to think about it like, what did old man give up? And I actually have an answer to this.
Go ahead.
Old man actually was he is talking frequently about his he will get his ambition again later.
Mm-hmm.
But he's never going to.
Oh,
He's given up
that's
the
good.
joy. He's given up the joy of the climb.
It's not even that. He's lost kind of the desire to.
Hmm.
He's been operating on under the assumption of like once he becomes dissatisfied with his place, that he's going to go for it. But
He's just satisfied.
yeah.
Yeah, he just basically gave up motivation. At least in that factor.
He reached his goal, and he doesn't know if he's going to ever be able to get past that.
Roll me another fortitude awareness this time, with a stunt.
Okay. Because remember that because
Oh, no.
awareness is not.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't
1,
botch.
2,
That's 2 successes still, but
2 successes.
I didn't order it correct.
There's a flicker of some very powerful looking emotion across it. Like the body language of Guan. You can't see his face, but there is something that flickers across from behind. Too fast for you to really process, but he had some visceral reaction to that, and you're not sure of what kind. Sybil, meanwhile, is just kind of hand under chin and looking at you just kind of like the same way you would look at a particularly like interesting new herbal specimen for elixir. Just kind of like, oh wow, this is fascinating.
Mm-hmm. But old man has no idea yet. He straight up doesn't know and might not even ever figure it out. Because if he truly lacks the even the idea anymore, then he
can't
might not
conceptualize it.
he might not even be able to conceptualize like the fact that he doesn't care to keep climbing, actually.
Mhm.
I should get back to cultivating one day, and then moves on and just continues to not do so.
God. And after a moment, Sybil thinks to herself and says, "So I'm curious, what do you think I gave up?"
Old man's gonna
Beep.
He's going to grab his chin and look at Sybil and really think about this. My first guess would have been self-control.
No, that was like that before the sun showed up.
That's fair. And can I throw dice at this instead of just thinking about it myself?
No, go ahead. I was wondering if you had an out-of-character idea, and if not, in-character is fine. That would be...
Not particularly, no. Yeah.
Force sagacity.
Force, okay. / toll. Only 3 successes.
As you really think about it, it's unclear, as you mentioned, how much of it is her personality and how much of it is a deliberate thing she gave up. The closest thing that you could imagine is that she either exaggerated a part of herself, or there's something just very odd about the specifics of her demeanor that you almost have on the tip of your tongue before you realize she's not afraid of anything happening to her out of a fear of things happening to her at all. She doesn't care if she gets hurt. She doesn't care if she dies. She doesn't care what happens to her.
For self-preservation.
Yes.
But specifically... But she still has external preservation out.
Yes.
She still wants the other... Yeah, gotcha.
She cares about Juan, and she cares about her principles. She literally has no intrinsic self-preservation instinct anymore. There is no I am afraid of death. There is no I am afraid of the negative consequences of this risk. There is no nothing. There is just do it. Why not?
Yeah.
That is at least one of the things that she gave up. Or possibly eccentric.
If she is a solar level sorcerer, which I don't know if she is or not, then she would have had to have done 3 things at some point. Yeah. And self-preservation feels more like a celestial level thing to me. So it could have gone even worse or even rougher.
I will say that is her second circle. One is basically, she already basically didn't have a sense of self-preservation beforehand, and then just actively was like, okay, what little I have left, gone. All of my tethers are now external.
Dwarf Fortress character who values sacrifice.
Yes. And it's not even so much valuing sacrifices, I genuinely don't give a shit about myself. I don't care what happens to me, at all. I care about how other people would feel, or that my absence would cause problems for my principles.
It is more interesting to Old Man to not actually even say any of this out loud, however. Yeah. And you will just leave her hanging.
Which leaves her to roll her own read intentions against you.
Which,
Right, what is the resistance stat in essence on that?
Yeah, because I have no idea. Old Man's Guile used to be 7.
Yeah, let me pull up your sheet for a second and double check. I don't... Oh, okay, no, read intentions is its own part of the social subsystem now, so I'm just gonna eyeball this. I'm gonna put this as a 7 difficulty roll. Just rather than looking up the exact ruling, I will go with how it... Nope! Sybil is just kind of like staring at you, just kind of like... No thoughts, head empty, cat face smile. Got nothing, huh?
Not a thing. Which he says it specifically in a way like, well, of course he fucking knows. But if he's over listening over. But yeah.
Yeah, no. Like, Sybil genuinely does not get that you know. You know without looking that Guan picked up that you caught it.
Yes. I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually.
Maybe, maybe not.
He's saying not about Sybil, but about himself, and...
Guan kind of takes a look back over the shoulder. So short term, you're just still going to be hanging out with the Hearth, huh?
I don't have any particular push towards anything else, and when I get down to it, they've done quite a lot of good for the region. Why not continue to help?
That they have. There's a bit of a quiet tension that wells up after that Sybil can kind of clearly notice before leaning in a little bit. Guan again then turns and looks over the shoulder. How much did you tell Milan about what he was getting into?
What context is that attached to? It's been a while.
Sorcery. Just becoming the apprentice.
Well, not that much, really, because gestures that he did have formal training already. Milan honestly had as much warning, or he had already received as much warning or dissuasion from his abilities that he would have ever gotten from someone who actually cared.
True. There's another kind of conflicted size. It is becoming clearer now. Guan knows he wants to say something, but internally does not actually know fully what it is. It is a matter of, there is something that I want to talk to Old Man about. I don't actually have it in my head forward yet. There's a lot of internal processing going on with that. So if Old Man has anything to, poke at him with, that you mentioned that you wanted to talk to Guan about, this feels like
the pregnant pause is going to be interrupted by a big old dumb smile, and then I knew it would have worked.
That was never particularly my worry, was whether or not it would work.
I know that that's the case, but it was something of a... I'm sure you have seen much in the way of unfounded confidence, and looks side eye slightly at
Actually
Sybil.
gets him to start laughing pretty genuinely before putting a hand in his mouth. Just
and then get side back at Guan. And I understand the hesitation, but I knew it was going to be fine. Deep in my bones, my terrible old coppery bones, broken hundreds of times over the course of my life.
It's really unsettling to hear all of the shards bristling against each other when you move, right?
Not many people can hear that. Quite subtle.
I'm not very many people.
Oh,
well, in a certain way, shut up, Sybil.
Yeah, from what I've heard, that's not exactly the case now, isn't it?
That actually gets a very intense glance back. Wait, which one of them told you?
I think it has definitely come up, I believe, but I don't remember.
It did. It was organically Angler, if anybody, singularly, but it came up. It came up when he was Bird, and Sybil alluded to it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So you would either say Sybil or Angler.
I would throw Angler under the bus for that, for sure. Yes.
I would not be surprised if Old Man had just also figured that out on his own.
Honestly, you are good enough at reading people that you probably would have picked up subtle mannerism differences. But maybe not to the extent of having alters, just he is very good at changing how he acts, totally.
Right.
But also, let's throw Angler under the bus.
But yeah, no. again, fundamentally, I'm not going to contradict what I said back there. I think you actually made the right choice from a safety and justifiable standpoint. I wouldn't blame you, and I don't think anyone should.
That actually gets him to stop in the middle of his tracks as you feel Sybil not tense up so much as kind of lean back as a just kind of like reflexive response before leaning in, having her hand back on the Duchess to stop. As Guan takes a moment, breathes in, and then the body language shifts just a little bit before turning around completely to face you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, telling the shark to not blame itself is like telling the wind not to blow, or telling the river to flow backwards. Although we do have an expert on that in this region. Sorry, I don't believe you and I actually have been properly introduced yet. I think Angler's the only one who ever met me. My name's Silver Tongue Adrian. Nice to meet you.
Actually, a little bit of genuine confusion, and I will be right back. Sorry, I had to go check on something.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Bird up.
Fucking birds.
That's things old man is doing.
If there's a brief thing others can address in the meantime while Doc is gone, or just a statement of intention for the future.
I have no plans, really.
I actually have one.
Yeah.
Milan was given information that there is another sidereal operating in this region. So when Milan meets back up with the group, he wants to start a venture using that celestial listener to start collecting information on the other four.
Oh god, that's right. I did give you that.
The other four bureaucracies, and then using that information to figure out, okay, which of these bureaucracies is operating in this region. To narrow it down to, okay, what other sidereal are we working with?
Mm-hmm. This is very appropriate music for how I'm feeling about that proposal.
Yep.
Just son of a bitch.
Yep. You gave Milan the paperwork generator, and Milan's going to do paperwork.
Not actually, man. Just, man, clever, good, well done.
As far as miscellaneous things that I feel like are on the agenda since our victory.
Mm-hmm.
Checking in on Trident River, as in on the way to checking in on Steel, since it's been a while since we visited Steel.
Yeah, it has.
Which then also puts us in a position to just go poke a bear.
Yep.
I returned.
Okay.
Either directly or just by passing close enough to the territory to see any of Bear's people in the woods and get news.
There was just brief proposals of what else would be coming up next, but yeah, back to Juan has...
In this window of time, we do a cycle of poking all of the VIPs of the region.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We have enough travel methods between us that we can knock on some
what
doors.
old man is what old man is confused about is not like the existence of this person, but rather the sudden and immediate shift. You know, like right in front of him, kind of like, oh really, just like that? Okay.
Look, if you already know the details, then if the boss needs a moment of time out and compose himself, then I will take over the thing so you don't see him visibly losing his shit.
That's unfortunate. I actually was assuming that, well, I suppose it's one of those things of, it is a thing to be said with good intentions.
No. Like, no, look, the rest of us know what you meant. It's a matter of the old boss has a complex about blaming it himself. You like talk to Sybil about that. The old Sybil's just kind of nodding along. Like self-blame is like kind of part of the reason he's still here. Is the idea that he didn't do enough, and it's a whole thing. Actually, hang on. You might.
I'm kind of an expert on justifying not doing much work to myself.
Adri kind of looks over to Sybil. I already explained part of this to part of the hearth, and frankly, enough of this is going to have dots connected soon enough. And getting your consent on, should we just be open about this? Feels like we should just start being open about this rather than having this go off like a landmine later. Sybil shrugs. What do you expect me to say? I'm the one who's usually the one who's doing this kind of thing. Adri shrugs back. Alright, so. You already know that used to be our boat, rather than, our, collectively, his, theirs, shards, previous incarnations, whatever.
Do you want it back?
Oh, hell no! Well... Okay, he actually stops and is, like, listening to the air for a moment.
Because you know my opinion of the boat, don't you?
Oh yeah, no, and like, no, 7 of 10? 7 of 10 of us think you're a piece of shit for thinking about it like that, but also we kind of get why. But...
Mm-hmm.
No, it's... Honestly, Onyx is... We didn't do right by Onyx. We got stuff to make up for them, but they're their own person now, and it's under the custody of Obsidian and the rest of the Dragonbloods, and honestly, they're the ones who should be the ones guiding it. In the modern day, we're baggage. Yeah. But there's just kind of a dismissive hand. More, I feel like a important bit of context for why the boss is so tetchy when sorcery comes up. So part of the reason that the old days went bad, in a lot of ways, was a lot of Solars went too deep on sorcery. Went too deep on a lot of things, really. And, the boss is unique, as I mentioned to Angler, and I don't know how much of this perpetuated amongst yourselves, and how much you in particular listen, but boss is the imprint of a memory on the Exaltation shard. It's a weird kind of situation where he doesn't consider himself real. It's a kind of an awkward situation to negotiate. Considers himself a little less of a person than the rest of us, when by external viewpoints, you would think most people would be judged the other way around, but whatever. Problem being, Sybil's original incarnation, which did not, thankfully, take a ride on anything, got cleansed out, the usual way. Boy, sorcery went bad for him. That advice Sybil was given... Sybil cuts off. Yeah, no, that was going off of Guan's memories of how I used to be. I got dedicated to the idea of being the pinnacle. Being the best at whatever I put my mind at, and when I did that back then, apparently it didn't take long for me to stop thinking about other people entirely. So I figured this time around, why not switch the script around a little bit? What if instead of I didn't care about other people, I don't care about me? What if I don't actually care? What if I just... Instead of being afraid of being not the best, or being afraid of dying with my legacy unfulfilled, what if I just don't care? What is there about me? She says, shrugging to old man. I mean, so this whole thing, she says for a moment before realizing, she gestures to her forehead and the dawn cast comes up.
Mm-hmm.
I got this because she's actually, like, this is the first time we've actually seen her uncomfortably hesitating.
Yep.
This is not a story that she tells very often or very lightly. I made a bet back where I grew up, and
Internal fist pump at the at gambling being the problem.
I was always the kid who would get back up when you knocked her to the ground. I was always the one who, I may not have won the fight, but I would always walk away from it. So I made a bet that no one could actually beat me down and keep me down. And I made that bet by saying that if I was so confident that they couldn't keep me down, that I said that if you keep me down, you can go beat up everybody else behind me. And, well, you could say that they cheated, but honestly, we didn't really have enough rules to say that they did. And I got the beating of my life. And they were ready to go out and hurt a lot of people I cared about. And so, she just kind of trails off for a moment. I pulled myself up on muscles that shouldn't have been able to do that. I stood on broken bones. And I demanded that they stop because I was still standing. And they hit me again. And I pulled myself back up again. And again. And I'm not sure how I died. Or how I did not die. But then she taps her forehead. But apparently being that kind of fucking idiot is what gets you the attention of the sun these days. Endangering people and then getting the shit beaten out of you apparently is what he likes. She just kind of shrugs. I don't know what the boss thinks, if you want to call him that. All I knew is that all I wanted to do was... She actually stops. You know, every time I tell the story, it feels like I have a different reason to just justify what I was doing back then. But at the heart of it is that I made a mistake, and I realized that I could walk away if I made a mistake, and some other people couldn't, and I guess I whiplashed around a little too hard on trying to correct for that, and for whatever reason, that made me chosen to be one of the creators and lawgivers of reality? She actively is shrugging and very looks confused at that. I don't know why that's the criteria for this thing, but it is. I didn't want to be who I am. I don't want this. And Avery speaks up. And honestly,
weirdly enough, here's the thing. Weirdly enough, old man started to smile, like thinking, like internally processing something. Like, I understand. I get it.
And Adri speaks up for a sec. And to chime in, the boss didn't ever actually want to go back in a body. It's just that the shard eventually did have its very specific criteria met. You can only cheat so hard before old Luna grabs you by the throat and makes you do what you're supposed to do. So, then Sybil just kind of shrugs. So yeah, it's... We play the big game of looking cool, I guess. But that's
don't worry about that. For me, it was never cool.
She just like flips a hand at that and she says, "No, I know it never worked on any of you."
It worked on Yang.
That's because Yang's too much like me. she actually looked a little rattled for that for a second. Like, not that she said it, but like that reaction made it come out of her mouth, and she was then composed herself. No, it's more that, how to put this. That's why we're so non-interventionist, is that neither of us want this, and it's a matter of if we don't have this, then someone worse could have it, and it's not like there's a rule book out there that has, well, there is one, but I have problems with it, she says, very kind of tersely.
Frankly, the only surprise that I've heard in the last 5 minutes is that only 7 out of 10 think I'm a piece of shit for disliking Onyx.
Atri is laughing. And we got all sorts in here. A lot of us showed up because, why not talk shop? You're weird. You're weird as hell. You only tell people things that you find are funny. So, how familiar are you with how actually we take faces? Or is it just myth and legend? Have you ever actually met any of us? We don't actually know.
No, just big shrug.
So there's a lot of people will tell you the only way is that you rip the heart out and you drink the last beating little bits of hot blood back into your mouth. I mean, that does work. But also, we've never done that. That's gross. That's nasty. Why would you do that? Ugh. No. Boss prefers more subtle methods. He prefers to get into a mindset so close to somebody that the body is inevitably drawn to fit the mind. Basically, you think and you walk like them until the outside of you looks like them. That's, gestures to head. That's where a lot of us kind of calcified, is that rather than just being something that he took on temporarily, some of us stuck around. I'm one of them, by the way. I used to be a godblood down in Nexus. Original me was a huge piece of shit, by the way. And I can tell you that the original me would say the original thing about himself to you. Like, this is... Talking identity recursively is really weird like this, but,
I would like to apologize for briefly laughing off mic at I used to be a big piece of shit. You think I can... People
was
can
waiting
change.
the sloppy steaks.
No. But, no, I was a godblood down in Nexus, the kid of, some sub-god of, personal affluence and hoarded treasures, and he tried to cut a deal with Guan, for lack of a better name, the center, the boss, the core, the host, whatever. And that went real bad for him, and ended up finding that so funny that I stuck around in the head just to give him a different perspective on things, and yeah, stuck around ever since. And I can tell you this, none of us in here, and I mean none of us, none of the faces, none of the little bits of the original, none of the original bits of the host, none of the ones that just showed up one day and none of us know what's up with them, but they're cool so they get to hang out. Like, they kind of run things, we don't ask too many questions about that. Ain't none of us in modern memory or first age memory know a goddamn thing that would explain what you are. Not a bit. So anybody who tells you that they know what's going on with you, or they know the real next step that they need to take, they're trying to sell you. They're trying to sell you sand in the south. Trying to sell you up. They're trying to sell you a bridge.
And yeah, knowing Nod, I don't know much about me, so I think that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, if I got one particular piece of advice for you, well, I say, democratically speaking, for the chattering box. 1 second. Closes his eyes and is very clearly internally doing something to the effect of "Shut the fuck up and let me talk" before opening eyes. The piece of advice that we would give you is no matter what your ambition ends up being, or not being, you're the sort of person who's going to be bumping into interesting faces your whole life. It's pretty clear by now that that's the case. Might be
Despite my best efforts.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole idea, is that you're going to be walking into every rake. Thing about that is that what you're going to be meeting all these interesting faces, and you're going to be living in interesting times, and everything about you is going to be weird as hell. Just remember the one thing. That one thing is that you're a fucking weird goblin man who nobody can actually predict. So, take it from somebody who really knows how to read this sort of thing. If somebody seems like they've got you figured out, they're just really good at bullshitting.
Yep. Old man will lean back again. I'm sure you've heard plenty of theories and self-justifications and everything about your own situations.
Oh, what do you think we talk about when we get bored?
Exactly. But I have to admit that I don't think I've ever seen like attract like so thoroughly. Two of creation's most enthusiastically self-punishing people would spend so much time with each other.
Sybil actually kind of pulls a face at that, while Adri is just laughing his fucking head off. Yeah, no, these two shards are fucked. Ah, man, that's kind of the reason we both don't really want to cack it for a while, is we don't want to kick this can back down to another pair of souls. We got about enough on our own. We're not kicking this down to two unprepared sons of bitches who don't know how to deal with this. Nah, this is our shoulder to bear.
And I'm actually just thinking that might be more important to you than you think. Is tapping temple. Why wouldn't the sun need a champion of self-flagellation when they are so disappointed in themselves to begin with?
Sybil just kind of smiles and doesn't say anything, but is just kind of looking off wistfully at that for a moment.
It's just a thought.
I prefer to think of it as trying to do better than what I used to be.
Well,
and yeah, that's basically seen on that.
Who wants to play cards?
Oh, I'm gonna fucking break you in half.
I hope so. I haven't given up another game recently.
Yeah, so it is. I'm not gonna actually make it a roll off, and it is just very much a situation where this is probably one of the closer matches in terms of game skill you've ever had. While Sybil, unsurprisingly, when you were playing card games or any other games, her style is just fuck around and find out. It's that one John Boyce video about the guy who went all in every time without looking at his hole cards in poker, and just having things work out or not. She just plays like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Yeah, Akagi. And yeah, this is Dark Cloud 1 and 2 in a compilation for ambient music, and this one is from 2. This is the credits theme, I think.
As I have repeatedly emphasized many time before, that old man's playstyle is watch Zoo adjacent rather than anything else. So,
yep.
you know. Sybil is a spoiler who will occasionally ruin Old Man's plans. Old Man and whoever is at the front for Guan at that moment.
Yeah. Sybil is just...
That's comparable levels of skill.
Yeah, Sybil is just there to cause chaos and have fun. Guan is actually putting in incredible amount of effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, next up would be the two proposals from the players, which would be Milan first would be calling the meeting, and I think Old Man would actually be in it on this with the time skip, or the time fluidity, because this is an important meeting to have with the whole crew, I would believe. As Milan has a proposal to make.
So, hello everyone.
Hi.
After speaking with some of the gods at the party, I've learned something very important. Purple has a pier in this region.
Like for boats?
Maybe? I'm going to be real, I don't know the workings of the heavenly bureaucracies, so I don't know what department they're a part of. But we do have that, and I point to the, I don't remember what it's called, the globe thing we snatched.
We don't really
I
have
think
a
I called
formal
it the
name for the
orrery.
thing.
Yeah, the orrery.
Yeah.
Like, I bet I can figure out at least what part they're from, and maybe where they are within this region if they're operating out of here. We could probably turn to them as an ally if purple continues to be an issue.
I would really like to meet Purple once more. Just to really rub it in their face.
Ooh, I want to be there.
When you say that out loud, there is some sort of internal resonance in the metal of your body. There's just some sort of like chime feeling through your bones. It's just like, oh yeah, no, that's happening.
There is nothing more petty in existence than a sidereal slap fight.
Yes.
Milan wants to be there for that. Yes.
And while Old Man is not a sidereal in any way, he does still resonate with star metal, so...
Yeah, again, you are resonant with star metal, so when you say that out loud, like, you have an internal kind of fate/resonant irony detector of just, oh yeah, no, that's probably happening, and it's gonna be really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So then.
So.
4 possibilities. What manner of attention we need to draw?
Repose, I was hoping you could enlighten us on the manners of attention we might be attracting. Well, tell us more about the other... Would they be called planets? This is an out-of-character question. What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about the other planets.
The planets, the maidens.
The wandering stars.
Yeah.
Well, layout, generalized star chart, your picture of skies. Conveniently lay a cloth over a portion of the sky that is 4 endings. Setting aside those. And then just kind of proceed. So, so we're looking at out of journeys, battles, serenity, and secrets. These are our 4 remaining high-level topics that govern fate.
Nodding my head, quietly thinking.
And for Propose's part, he probably starts working through thinking about important numbers that relate to the dealings of each of the portions of the sky. Things that are like star counts of the constellations that they have, ratios between them, products of them, etc. Just doing some, standard arcane numerology bouncing around of numbers and letters.
So that would be finesse sagacity, probably?
Four successes of preliminary thinking about.
So, thinking about it.
Well, okay, so thought process here. We do not know which of the remaining four it is, so we are looking to do things that will, like, probe the interests of each department and then listen in on the activity that follows.
Yeah. You are looking to either observe, provoke, or thwart things to do with connections and serenity being made, with journeys being done, with conflicts being arisen, or secrets being made or unveiled. And serenities and conflict seems like it would be pretty simple to do as just a binary because they're almost in opposition. It's, when things are chill, conflict is going to get annoyed, and when things are in conflict, serenity is going to be working to stop that. Unless they are in a tag team situation where they're doing both for some sort of concerted goal, which usually that's when things are very complicated and frightening. Journeys also seems relatively simple to look into because there's it's the 100 Kingdoms, there's a lot of transit back and forth, usually of some sort of import. And secrets, you feel like you can almost rule secrets out, because if there was a secret sidereal around here, you feel like they would have had an aneurysm by now. You would have gotten a knock on the door and a very stern letter as to either please help me unveil these secrets or stop fucking doing this.
If the secrets were the most important person in the region, we would either be dead of knowing anything about Don't or contacted to join into the anti-Don't effort and asked to non-disclose about Don't under penalty of being killed.
Yes.
For the crime of...
Which, in its own way...
revealing Don't.
You're not... that could be another leverage point of... You're not sure how it would resonate, but if there's a Serenity or a Conflict sidereal around here, they're going to have opinions about Don't. And everything you know and have been interacting proximity to Don't. Journeys probably would not care too much.
Would point out the fact that we literally had a war here.
Just a little one. It was over in a weekend.
Sure was.
Tiny war.
It was over in a weekend because we interceded.
Yeah. Tiny war.
Almost as if we had not interceded, that war might have gone on a bit longer.
Hey, Obsidian, roll me Force War.
Hold up. Where's the window? There it is. Hello. Hey, so what does Obsidian know about war?
Well, first of all, pay homage to Mars. Before any conflict, you give notice to Mars. Because either this is on Mars's timetable, and you are letting her know that you are thankful for this and you are following the timetable, or this was not on Mars's timetable and you are giving her official heads up of, hey, by the way. And either way, you are seeking her blessing just because that's a bad idea to not do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a conflict being short and decisive does not necessarily mean Mars is not involved or Mars is angry. Mars is the god of conflicts of all sorts, not necessarily martial, although that is a very large part of her job. And that includes complete, absolute, just rip it out at the roots, destruction of a problem before it blooms out and becomes a massive sprawling conflict. A conflict of just walking in and blowing up an army before it becomes a war, that's still Mars. So it could go either way on that. However, You also know that... There was a lot of serendipity involved with a lot of the stuff with the Bronze Axe. In a way that made it feel like it was going in a... Actually, something... No, yeah, with 6 successes. You know the conflict was being pushed by Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
That almost categorically means Heaven didn't want that. Because that is a creature of darkness wanting a war. That is... The conflict would not have existed without something from the underworld, aka something the Heaven does not account for, pushing that. So, if that's not on Heaven's timetable, Heaven's desires, then their object would be to stop that. Which either would be in the remit of endings, or the remit of serenity. Because serenity is when you reach an accord with people. Like, say, what you did in the Trident River Valley afterwards. It is feeling to you that it is either a conflict sidereal that was involved in a way that is not normal for what you would expect a description of that to be, or a Serenity sidereal may have had a hand in having some of the post-war negotiations go well. Again, it feels less like, there's a sidereal determining that everything you do is a success or failure. It's more, what kind of things would have gotten their attention, and what would have had them kick down the door to announce themselves. Which is almost nothing in the case of sidereals, but there was a war, and you didn't have somebody approach you as war boss going, hey, I didn't expect this war. Obsidian, it comes down to the gut feeling of Obsidian doesn't think it's war. It just doesn't feel quite right.
Nothing about it in retrospect looked especially lucky or unlucky, just kind of normal war.
The war part itself seemed like it didn't really have any sort of intervention going on. And you can't speak for anything else because that's not what you're rolling for.
That was war.
That was just in your hands.
So that leaves Serenity.
Nothing more about that except for war.
And Journeys.
So in general practice, when seeking to make contact with an undetermined being of undetermined disposition, is it important to give one's best effort to determine some display that will be grand enough to be appropriate to catch their eye while not being so... while avoiding excess, lest it be seen as aggression or insult. If we set about doing something meant to draw the attention of spirits that is too slight, then it will simply be within the jurisdiction of some manner of small local being. That will be the end of it. If we do something nearer the far end of our abilities for sudden, drastic, and influential acts, we may simply invite a new enemy to replace the one which we have just removed.
Okay, so if we want to attract journeys, we need to publicly start a journey.
Something involving a great deal of travel and peace.
And if we want to attract serenity, we would need to start some sort of... At this, Milan's going to completely lock up. Because he started thinking about Shirin. Brain lock.
kind of trailed off there, bud. What happened?
Nope. The Milan is not home right now.
All right, we'll get back to them in a moment. So journeys, you said. Does anyone have some particularly large?
There's one of the members
thing?
of like flickering glass, kind of leans in and kind of elbows Milan a little bit. You okay?
What? Right, we were looking to attract said getting a hold of Sidereal. Right, okay. Where were we again?
Journeys.
Slides in. So
That was-
Serenity would be attracted by acts of cooperation or peace.
Cooperation, peace, harmony, de-escalation, understanding, things being brought together.
Would look at Milan almost as if the entire region coming together to form some sort of cohesive organization would fire it off.
Ooh.
And some sort of immense journey being set up, like a dynastic house leaving the house.
We still have most of a month between us and the peak of the season. It would make a fitting day for some manner of conference. Looking at Obsidian, because forming this alliance is his idea and his project that he's
Yes.
working on.
No.
Yep.
Obsidian is currently thinking about how to move between and communicate and organize many parts of the whole 100 kingdoms. That is the part of this that is the barrier. With this barrier.
Well, we do have contacts all over the region.
Yes.
Mayhaps it's time we invite everyone to a conference.
We might want to communicate with various parts first. Just going right into, all right, let's do this.
That's
Like-
Finish the
in-person
circuit,
kind of
then.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes, finish the circuit first.
Yeah, we direly need to see people face to face on this, not just a message in a tree.
Which, speaking of which,
Just at everyone.
speaking of which, the first step to this, I would believe, is figuring out who's going to be in charge of. I forget the name of the town we're in.
The Riftwood Trading Company.
Riftwood Trading Company. Who is going to be in charge of Riftwood Trading Company once we leave?
Well, Riftwood Trading Company is the guild operation that we just threw out. This
Yes.
is now Swampton, and Swampton upon Swampton.
Yes.
Who is in charge of
Hey,
Swamp?
it's me, Swampton. Swampton.
Yeah, Nirma's Rest, Gold Strike, and then I don't remember the other two off the top of my head without looking at the notes, so.
I don't remember any of those names.
Yeah, Swampton.
They haven't come up very
Swampton
often.
Swamp.
Because you haven't been here very often. So.
Swampton.
From what I remember, you were going to let them basically self-determine as to who would be in charge. Like, you would be sitting there to make sure that it is not just, different profiteering asshole in a top hat takes in charge and then would be going on your way.
Okay, so Obsidian lays out a map at this point of, okay, we can start here. We can travel up. Would point out, okay, lays out the whole map here, zooms out of the map.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've already talked with Grey Falls. I talked with Grey Falls. We talked with Grey Falls. Points at me and Milan. We talked with Grey Falls. We're here. Points out Riftwood. Fallen River's over here. Remind me who's in charge of Fallen River.
Parliament.
Yeah, they have
It is the
Republic
Parliament.
going on.
The provisional government with the Parliament, yeah.
We will find somebody for representation of Fallen River when we get to Fallen River. The head of Parliament, the Speaker of the House. God's Breath is Burr. Empire or former Empire
God's
of the
Breath
Bronze
is
Axe.
Steel.
That's Steel. Right.
Yeah.
Steel Terran Burr. Okay. Wait, where's Burr?
Burr is
right here.
in Jade Orchid.
Yeah. Empire of the Bronze Axe. God, sorry. Trident River Valley. There we go. Got there. We need to cross this out on the map at some point.
More thoroughly.
Yeah, hang on. That on the map layer.
The Trident River. Don't recall a leader by
Repose
name.
has nominally installed himself.
Repose.
There.
Repose is the leader.
Just can't
Repose
remember
could be
who
the
their
leader.
leader.
Around?
It's completely out of the left field.
And Jade Prefects is Cascade.
Yes.
So we would make the rounds this way, visiting 1, 2, 3. Well, we don't need to visit 3. 1 and 2. We can end up at the Jade Prefects, which I think would be the good place to hold the first council. I think an idea to propose for the council is to actually have a rotating place that the council meets. That way, no one town has power over the others. Of like, hey,
right.
we're the ones where
What
we
if
always
there was
meet
some ominous central location that was currently free of anything else of conventional value that people might fight over, but was also really accessible in terms of just roadway and
Wait, I'm
general
sorry. Is this
perspective.
I've zoomed in on here for the first time. Does it say this machine kills gently?
Gentry, as in the fair folk.
What if we have some sort of giant symbol to rally this
The sword.
allegiance around?
Yes.
The colossal
Okay.
pillar of death roast.
It's also kind of makes it a sacred place. Yes. All right. I like this idea.
And it would be perfectly feasible to reestablish some kind of town over here.
Yep. Also, you've already made the small god of the pillar your friend, so...
All right. So anyway, first step. We need a representative for the former trading company for Swampton.
I could probably leverage a bunch of my contacts in the area since I have that temporary 4 followers.
Yeah, like it is not a mechanical difficulty to get a representative out of this. It is a matter of I'm going to have to make.
Yeah.
It's going to be time because they need to actually settle the dust.
Would look at the group and then also like kind of at Yang. Should we bring a representative of the swamps?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
No, they.
I mean, the bandits
They don't
themselves
want
are
to be part-
known well enough.
They
and
don't
are
want to
not,
be
They're
part of
probably
society.
just gonna move instead
Okay.
of be a part of society.
That's fair. Just wanted to throw it out there.
If anything, Yang is their point of contact with us. They are represented.
That's fair.
Yeah, I
I was
suppose
more
so.
just, I would rather ask them and then turn us down than not ask them at all.
I will tell you for free, if you ask them off screen, they will say no thank you.
Yes, I understand, but it's
Yeah,
a lot of these situations. If you exclude people, but by thinking no, they won't do it, that's a bad precedent to start on.
I can respect the hustle.
Then you get a Maleficent situation going on. I get it.
Yes. Milan being able to travel fast enough would gesture to Mud and the new Northfolk. New East Northton. Would you want to go and get representatives for them?
I could do that.
This would also be a reason why Angler and also Obsidian would head up towards Jade Orchid Prefecture and such. Are we doing this before or after we all scattered? Or is it wibbly wobbly?
This is wibbly time.
This is wibbly time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would
Jade
give us a good reason to head up that way.
Jade Orchid would probably be the last destination because it's not going to take much to convince Cascade.
True, but Angler would just head there anyway because
Yes.
Angler
Well, then
wants
you could.
vacation.
Yeah,
Had
we could
pre-existing
say.
business.
Yeah, we could add a scene on if you want to have a scene for it, but we could say that when you went to visit them, you brought up the idea.
Angler has one more scene to do there anyway.
There you go. All right. Claps. It says break.
Milan does want to be there for Fallen River, though. So
Okay.
it'll be like...
Then maybe we go counterclockwise instead of clockwise.
It could be while
Loon
you get...
had proposed earlier that the NPCs to hit up would have been Quick Check on Trident River, then Steel, then Teeth.
Other question to put forth here at like an operational level. How large a venue do you picture meetings of this alliance being? Because another way to go about streamlining the whole who sends what process is just pick a number. Any community of that or more people should send a person to the meetups.
Would just offer the idea, if you're a village in the region of waves,
just leave it village in the region or community in the region.
Yeah, okay, there you go. If you're a community, you are a gathering of people, you have a seat.
And if you don't want to be a part of it after you get there, that's your choice. But the seat is available.
If you wish to send a representative, you may. That is the idea of the council, is it's not exclusive.
Unless you're fair folk, you might have issue actually visiting the council.
Fair folk will be crushed upon location of the sword.
Yeah, no, if they showed up, they would get just...
They would burst into flames at the sword.
Ha, I'm going to do a prank. Oh no.
This is why we hosted at the sword.
At the giant iron pillar.
Hello, human. Ah!
So, question here. How big of a distance is it time-wise to go from the pillar to where Doom used to be? Up the road to the northwest?
Like via foot travel?
Yeah.
Or via foot travel, that's like half a day, maybe most of a day, depending on how easy you're taking it on the mountain slope.
Okay, I mean, coming down to the
would be
the
faster.
pillar. Yeah, okay.
Oh, coming down faster.
Yeah, because the thing I'm curious about is this town is still technically there, correct? It's just...
yes, it is specifically what I mentioned. Well, actually, no. After the Wild Pocket, it is now a completely barren patch of earth that is slowly being repopulated by life.
It was reduced to generic land.
Yeah, I did not know if the structure was still there or just all light was removed.
It was at first, and then the wild happened to it.
Okay, just double checking. Then never mind.
Yeah, would offer the two ideas of, it was already mentioned, but Teeth Bear is already a known factor in the region. Could be the representative of the animal folk. And would also bring up the idea to the person that's probably interacted with her the most, which would be Angler. What do you think of Koi? She's a note.
She's going to want to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the person who is actually interacting with
man,
Koi the
right.
most is Old Man.
Mm-hmm. And you would know.
Also Milan.
Koi is the person where you invite her, whether or not she says no, because if you don't invite her, then she'll show up and wreck your pots and pans because you didn't.
Milan wanted to be there for Fallen River to go ask Koi.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
That's the one that is the Maleficent situation of, no, you invite her no matter what you think she says.
Hold up, sorry. Okay. I saw the very small... this is the first time I think I've actually just sat down and stared at all the things that have been written on the map.
Yeah, there's been a lot of doodles added by people.
The very small... Bandits?
Yes.
I did have one more question. We've mostly been talking about like people, humans for this, but what about any kind of elemental presence as well? Would any group or any elemental group be particularly interested in this, or is this something where it's more of a
At this, Obsidian shrugs like it's not
well,
a
that was
topic
kind of
that.
asking towards repose on that one.
Generally, no, until they decide otherwise.
Elementals are basically like, this is human politics doing human things. Call us when this is an actual thing that affects, like, creation. Thank you.
Elementals prefer to remain outside.
I understand it's the outside, but since this is a bunch of smaller communities becoming possibly one larger cohesive community, that would affect the balance of everything in the region. So hence why I wanted
If anything
to bring
we
that
do
up.
upsets the earth, you will not need to ask.
You will know if they have a complaint to file.
Hey, I wasn't necessarily going for complaint. I was going for, hey, you guys seem cool. We should hang out more.
They would also be insulted by that.
That would be their preferred state of affairs is you be over there.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, there are some sociable elementals. Most of them just want to go out into the elements and do their job. You know that you are doing fine by the element if on occasion or something, or like your crops are particularly flourishing, or their gem mines are being particularly nice. You don't see and talk to them unless you go find them yourself.
Okay. And then the last thought I brought up was who gets to go talk to the monks?
Which ones?
The Immaculate Monastery and
the Immaculate Monastery, yes.
Not Milan.
Not Milan.
Questionably.
Well, Milan does not
What?
get along with with many Immaculates.
Not least of which because Milan was immaculate for about 3 days.
Yep.
Oh, was there a zombie apocalypse on your first day?
Members of the team who have not yet crossed fists with the Inquisitor.
The backstory of that was they tried to do a move.
It was a bureaucratic error.
They were trying to Shanghai Milan into the Immaculate Order.
Because like Milan and Angler did the snipe when we.
That's another.
Yep.
Reason.
Yes,
when
we did.
Milan and Angler
Fuckman.
and Yang.
Oh, I mean, the answer is Obsidian.
Probably.
Or Repose.
Repose is also not someone who inherently would get along with the Immaculate Order.
Would understand how to approach.
Repose has the established status quo.
Yes.
Yes.
Inherently, though, being a representative of a local religion thing as opposed to being, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on who you talk to, I think, is the real thing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I hesitated, because there's not the head of the order, because he's a jackass.
It's Obsidian is the answer.
Yeah.
As that is the correct answer, objectively.
Yeah.
Gotta have to deal with this religion shit. Ugh.
Man. Alright, so what
Bring
region-
Sharin.
Yeah.
You'll have routine business with her peers. She can introduce you.
Yeah, I suppose.
Prepare you to avoid any missteps. And she is on my sheet as formerly, backed by points ally of we got people to work with here.
Yep.
And I have Koi as actual points ally, so that's why I was going to talk to Koi.
Alright, so which region / interaction y'all want to have first?
First thing, I think we wanted to hit up Clay Bottom and East Northton.
Okay, I don't really have too much in character for that. Clay Bottom would just immediately be like, yes, just as a principle of we are a small power in this region, yes, we want to have a say in it, and also, you saved our lives and our economy, and also just got rid of a predatory economic power to our side. Yes, we'll do basically anything you ask. And East Northton would be like, we're kind of just setting up, but I guess we'll send somebody. Like, they'll just... It is a literal situation of they talk to each other and they'll be like, we'll draw straws and send. So we'll send somebody.
Mm-hmm. And then we can, along the way, hit up Jimbus. Not to invite, to figure out what's up with Jimbus.
To invite.
Throwing a full craft pool into preparing a nice woodcut that we can use to stamp out some very tasteful and dignified invitations to this event.
Jesus Christ!
Tasteful and dignified. Wow.
Obsidian has just been talking about this idea. He did not yet have a logo. He has a logo now.
Number one, I'm just gonna recalibrate by everybody's expectations of the example successes in essence. An example of a 10 success action threshold in presence is getting the attention of the unconquered sun. So we're on that level of good craft. This is not just nice invitations. This is now individually meticulous, beautiful.
The sun attempts to exalt you, and just it bounces off. Damn it!
Wait a minute. Oh, hang on. Dang.
Someone else got to this. Damn it. Gaia.
What if?
Oh man, my aunt got dibs.
In the back end, we have gotten the attention of where the sidereal is, but they're now aware of us doing this journey, but we don't have to do.
I was going to say, I was actually going to have that be a thing, but yeah, I will say out loud, this gets the sidereal's attention very positively. And yeah, no, this is every individual invitation is now something that is of a quality of artwork that each individual or each region that gets it are going to keep it as just... This is a waste to just throw away as an invitation. We're
Can I slide in for a suggestion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Each invitation is personalized.
Yes. Yes.
It's at its core a very memorable and evocative logo that is a stylized giant spike being driven through the heart of a fancy lad. But then that is surrounded by all manner of specifics and accoutrements.
So yeah, no, like, this is absolutely number one. Everybody is going to be just having a positive intimacy towards all of you, just from the sheer power of the invitation. Number two, not something you will know in character immediately. You have caught the sidereal's attention, and it is a positive attention. These are basically representations of peace as through... If anything, this resonates with Shea-Khan in terms of peace through deterrence and necessary violence.
Peace
and
through
absolute
a railgun
restraint.
slug.
Peace earned.
Peace. Peace threatening. God damn. But yeah, sorry, my brain went blank after that. Claybottom, Northton.
We were going to stop by Jimbus.
Jimbus, right? Yeah. The idea of inviting Jimbus. So, at first you go over.
We're not inviting Jimbus.
Why not? Where's the harm?
There's no chair big enough for Jimbus.
I don't know how.
There's no vegetation to munch on for miles around.
Why isn't Jimbus the mascot?
Jimbus isn't on a side. Jimbus is kind and gentle.
Jimbus is above politics.
We don't want to stress Jimbus out. Politics.
Jimbus is a powerful symbol. You can't waste it.
Okay. We're going to have to use that for a really...
Jimbus is a self-contained symbol.
Local political cartoons with the crying Jimbus dangling in the background.
Yeah, 1,000%, 1,000,000%.
Oh no!
Please hold your storyteller's brain is rebooting.
I'm thinking about shitpost political cartoons.
So am I.
In universe? No. Help!
I'm trying to reboot past it. It's taking a bit.
So who's all at the point where we're talking with Jimbus?
Milan is the Bigadu crime skeleton.
Holy shit! One of our viewers had an earthquake locally after that craft roll. Earth aspect too strong. So Milan and who else would be going to see Jimbus in person?
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, who went with Milan to Clay Bottom and East Northton, and who just went directly to Jade Orchid?
I think Obsidian just immediately went to Jade Orchid.
I think Angler probably did the same thing because
Angler would have gone straight there.
As did Repose, probably, considering Repose and English showed up at the same time.
The Jimbus seems like a Yang thing to do. It liked
Yang.
It tried to poke Yang once.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I have to do with Jimbus besides just feed it shit.
Well,
Jimbus is sick. Jimbus has been wandering weird.
You wore the Jimbus costume. You vibed with the Jimbus. Jimbus briefly mistook you for a bush until not eating you. So, a better way of saying it, would Yang personally, as a person, want to go see the Jimbus again? Like, just to observe the Jimbus?
I'm not sure what Yang's up to, but it's probably preparing for something. The Jimbus is a peacetime event.
Okay. So it might just be Milan.
I mean, to be fair, Angler might be able to come down if Milan wants back up. Since Milan went the south way and then up, and Angler went directly to Jade Orchid, he could probably come down and meet around that area.
Especially because
Milan's mostly just going to poke the ley lines in the area and get the confirmation that, yep, things have been redirected.
Yeah, you're right. I can't talk to animals, but this is funnier.
And this being a big old water thing, Angler is always curious.
So, yeah, it's especially easier to do that because at first you go towards the usual mark on the map of the Jimbus just to confirm, is not in the usual grazing grounds. And roll me. This is not penalized by your cursive navigation, so this is roll me finesse navigation. Your cursive sense of direction is not applying here.
Five successes.
Okay. So you think to yourself, okay, no Jimbus here. How find Jimbus? Jimbus is very large, but also sightline's only so long. And so you think to yourself, well, why not just look for the parts of the vegetation that look more eaten and go in that direction? And also you know that it's supposed to be towards the road, and with that in mind, you are able to basically find, roughly this path, kind of trending around this way. It has a kind of munched out bit of vegetation. And around here, I will put just a temporary circle down. This is the current location of Jimbus. Well off track. Like, this is to remind myself. This is like nearly 40 or 50 miles away from the usual space that Jimbus patrols. So, not unheard of, but certainly, considering it's usually off in this direction, certainly a new change in behavior. Mm-hmm. First thing you notice when you come up on the horizon to notice is Jimbus looks healthy. Jimbus does not look like it has obviously been... It doesn't have the stank. It doesn't have any sort of evil void corruption or any green flames or any nonsense like that going on. It's just Jimbus. That's a Jimbus. That's a giant fucking weird Portuguese man-o-war in the sky made of water and clouds and grazing on the land below.
Bless.
It is just kind of vibing as you approach. Roll me a finesse sagacity roll to just do your inspection.
Yep.
Like,
and
what is there particular things that you're doing? Or?
So Milan wanted to poke into the ley lines because it seems like the dragon lines had been redirected, and that's what pulled Jimbus this way.
Mm-hmm.
Milan has a current theory that its ley lines are being pulled into don't, so he's looking to see, okay, are the dragon lines being pulled in the direction of the swamp?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Milan's looking at the flow of this magical river throughout the world. If that involves like demon summoning or whatnot to get the
yeah, you would have to
resummon the mosquito.
The little beetle that Rum drew once that you do.
Yep.
You would be able to resummon that. Gut instinct is probably not a good idea to do it like nearby Jimbus. Maybe you haven't like eyesight, but like.
Repose will be out for this, having just coincidentally also set out to do this from the other direction at the same time, and just meeting up in the field.
Okay, so Angler and Repose are probably going out after their business together to check this out for their own reasons, and
they'll probably come upon Milan overseeing the beetle.
Yeah, this is probably in the evening. You see on the hillside, a couple of miles away, on like a tall hillside to catch the moonlight. Milan very obviously going through a demon summoning circle creation. So that's probably something where it's just like, okay, go from casual walk to brisk jog over.
Might not be paying attention to their surroundings. Okay, hold on, let's get there.
So, yeah, no roll needed on the demon summoning, because number one, it's a demon that you found before. Number two, honestly, this is fine. It's more your role that will be interpreting it that is more important.
Hey friends, I figured out how to navigate without roads locally. You just use the big mountain to the west. Look, Milan doesn't have a sense of direction, but damn it, he knows how to travel. And you left Milan to travel by himself. He figured it out.
You know what? When you put it that way, that's our bad, and I'm sorry.
It's fine. Okay, so the sagacity roll.
Yeah, so the sagacity roll, I will roll that into a basically I will use the demon summoning as part of your action. Yep. But I will give you actually a stunt for using the demon summoning is how I will incorporate it, so you can roll 2 extra dice.
Yep. And I'm using the excellency on this.
All right.
Not quite sun noticing, but it's close there.
All right, so the demon shows up in the circle, bound again, as Milan is laying down pieces of paper for it to sketch. This time, when it is able to turn around and kind of look at its surroundings, first of all, first thing it notices is the Jimbus, and it just kind of looks at that, blinks, and moves on. It's just kind of a visible reaction of, oh, large thing. And then turns around, sees Repose, and the closest thing I can describe is that despite having a face that is not made to have any sort of expressive emotion on it, because it is a fully chitinous, strange beetle, mosquito, wasp thing, proboscis, you can clearly tell the beetle has this moment of the fear of death, which is, oh, no.
Working with Repose means you get to see how all sorts of things express fear.
Yep. Just this entire, the legs curl up under it, the wing shields completely retract onto the body and kind of pull up as like a fucking chitinous plate. It's just...
hey, look at me. Look. Keep your eyes on me. Eye contact. Okay. I need to figure out what has happened to the dragon lines. They've been moved. Could you give me a map of their current layout right now? No. Don't look at Repose. Look at me.
Looks back and is not using speech, but via the ritual that lets you bind it. There's just kind of an empathic connection of, all right, I do this and he doesn't kill me, right? Like, there's just this unspoken understanding of just, this isn't a setup, right? I'm not going to get murdered.
Yes. It's like, I brought you here for a reason. It's fine. Trust me. And Milan is putting himself between Repose and the demon.
Hesitation before sticking proboscis in ground, and then having the feelers come out and begin to trace out the lines on the map, and just doing what it did in the ley lines of the manse. Except this time, because it is much more locally and regionally connected, it is much more able to go into very elaborate detail, to the point where once it gets into it, you can clearly tell that it is just having fun making elaborate calligraphic and decoratory swooshes
You've been
through
practicing.
Just kind of the whole thing. And it is less a one-to-one representation and more of a just kind of almost painterly representation. It is very usable as a map, but it also just definitely looks like it is having fun with it. When you compare it to your older map and some usual standard maps, you do notice that there are actually 2 gravitational wells in the local ley lines. One of them, the stronger of the 2, is I'm gonna actually ping it right here. Slowly, if you don't see it, if you're not zoomed out, it is between the triangulation of the 3 Shadowlands north of the Strange Fire area. It is the dragon lines in that area have just been completely yanked out of their usual alignment and are getting weird and just kind of being dragged in bodily. The other one is that there is a slight gravitational lensing effect going on with the dragon lines towards Don't. The ones on the roads and the ones that weave through the swamp as a mesh have been pulled out of alignment towards Don't to link into it, but it is less like something has punched a hole that is sucking everything in.
Unfortunately, it is sucking one thing in. Poor Jimbus.
Yep, as you may have noticed, the line where Jimbus is almost on a direct line. Not quite, but very close to Don't. Jimbus is drifting towards Don't. The natural ley lines that Jimbus uses to navigate to where the best food is are the ones that are being pulled towards the center of the swamp.
Oh, Jimbus.
Want to go?
Demon
Offer
has.
Jimbus?
So we have a big ominous mystery spot forming directly between the 2 less guarded societies that that Green was infiltrating and subverting.
Yep.
Yep.
And also triangulated by Shadowlands.
That all adds up.
Yep. Also, I find it very funny that our path for this alliance is taking us on the path that does not take us past this mystery area. We're going the exact opposite route.
Did we win exploring then?
And I can say that the demon did its job, did a good job, appreciate the artwork, and it is dismissed.
And poof, back to Malpheus. Very, very obviously pleased with the quality of its artwork. Didn't really seem to actually have any sort of connection to what the ley lines were doing. It was just representing what it saw. So, with the map rolled out in front of Repose, Milan, and Angler, what would the replies be like?
Unfortunately, my fears are correct. Jimbus is heading towards Don't.
Where do you think they are?
What? Jimbus? Right there.
Oh, sorry. I missed that we actually saw Jimbus. Sorry.
I point to Jimbus in the skies right next to us.
Just about to say, I can probably just smell the rain at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk to Jimbus?
I could try, but I don't.
Because, and Angler looks up at the water falling, and then how Jimbus is, I could probably get you up there.
I could give it a try.
Okay. I haven't done this one yet, but I wanted to try it out anyway. Repose anything before I try to take Milan up there?
No.
Okay. Okay. Milan, get on my back.
Already arms around the waist.
Yeah. And then Angler actually goes down, hands on the ground, and then feet on the ground, and flexes and braces, and then starts just enhancing a bunch of charms. He's going to use Dragon Surmounts the Waterfall, but to get the leap up to get to the water, to run up the water to Jimbus, is going to use Mountain Crossing Leap Technique.
Yeah, big jump. Big
which
ups.
is the enhance of the monkey leap technique.
Yep.
Big up. He just jumps probably about 50 feet straight up in the air, and then is immediately going to try to jump from raindrop to raindrop all the way up to the top.
Yeah, roll me. Yeah, it is athletics now to do this. Roll me finesse athletics with a stun.
All right, I'm going to use that bonus too, and I need to double check what Dragon Surrounds the Waterfall gives me, because Angler's using a lot of things. So you remember how to spell surrounds. Yeah, okay. That doesn't actually give much there, but that's fine. 9 successes. Oh, wait. Are we working in tandem? Hold on. I think I need to add another 1 onto that.
Yep.
Flat 10 successes.
Yeah, okay, so threshold was 7. So yeah, no, you are able to literally run up the waterfall from beneath Jimbus. Like, not without effort, but it is to the point where you make it look effortless. It is just you quite literally are able to line your feet upon the raindrops, kick up, and keep going. Like any number of scenes, it's like you are able to do this so gracefully and so fluidly up the water that you can actually see the dangling tendrils from beneath Jimbus kind of shift as like, wait, what? And then you are able to get all the way up onto the mantle and then plop yourself down on what is an unsettlingly soft and firm but still jiggling surface, like non-Newtonian fluid kind of situation, except you don't sink all the way in.
So a waterbed.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's my job. I'm going to sit here and pretend that didn't take everything I had for a bit. You're up.
All right. First thing I want to do is with my not vocally, but with my like posture and just how I'm feeling, to convey a feeling of ease and comfort. For no, I'm not here to hurt you. I realize I'm talking to Jimbus, but trying to get Jimbus to be calm about us suddenly being on its back.
Yeah, that would be navigate, because that's where the animal handling stuff lives now.
Really? That's awesome.
Navigate is where survival is, which is where,
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. That's Frad.
5 successes to convey calmness.
You are unsure of whether or not your message gets through at all, until there is a very vast shadow cast over your head from the moonlight. You look up, there's an immense tendril that is looking down, well, not looking down, looming down over you. And then it is kind of pausing, and then kind of pokes itself in the mantle. It doesn't poke you, otherwise you would be crushed, like squished, without doing some charms and parries and things like that. But it is like poking around it, just kind of like a very clear, trying not to hurt you, but also trying to figure out what just got on my head. Mantle, whatever.
Okay, I'm thinking of how do I what's my next step for conveying to Jimbus, because I don't think Jimbus has ears or a concept of river speak.
We don't know what sort of senses Jimbus uses to perceive existence.
Yeah. You don't know if it has language, you don't know what its sensory perceptions are.
Just because, and since he's sitting here not really thinking, Angler would go through every language he knows and just saying something along the lines of, we don't mean harm, we're just here to talk, which would, Lord, let me find all the languages he speaks. Old, river, fire, forest, air, high, low.
The only response you get is when you start talking Old Realm, there is a kind of jiggle under your feet.
Wait, Angler, did you feel that?
Yes.
Do it again.
Okay. In Old Realm. My name is Angler. This is my brother, Vanif Milan.
Like, the whole time you are talking, there is a vibration back under your feet. Not like enough to make you kind of jiggle up and down a solid 3 or 4 inches, but not enough to knock you off your feet.
Okay. You know what? Give me a sec here. Where is it? It's an awareness. Angler's going to use all-encompassing earth sense to see if those vibrations are an actual form of, like, talking or what have you. I know it's not the exact way that it works.
No, that's I will count this as an acceptable edge case use of the charm. It's less language and more response. It's what you would classify it as an automatic response of I recognize this stimulus. You're not sure if it understands the words, it knows the noises. This is noises and shapes of mouth noise that it has been exposed to and recognizes as something. All the rest was just arbitrary hoots that could have come from the wind. Now it is clearly understanding, oh, this is meaning noises.
Yep. Angler's going to go whole hog on this one and enhance that to feeling the dragon's bones and try to, whatever way possible, communicate back through vibrations and such. Also speaking Old Realm as he does it.
So what you do effectively is channel the words that you're saying both out the mouth and through the air, but also basically internalizing the vibrations in your vocal cords, putting them into your bones, down into your feet, and into the body to resonate outward as an amplifier.
Yes.
To basically send the Old Realm as a direct tactile vibration. At which point there is a very sudden, just kind of lurch down and up, where this is like an actual like shift of 5 or 6 feet, so you kind of bounce a little bit. And then there is a pause where very clearly there is an understanding that has been reached, but it doesn't seem that Jimbus is, for lack of a better term, Jimbus appears to be nonverbal. Jimbus can understand you. Jimbus doesn't really have a very effective way of communicating back beyond extremely generic tone, like a vibration pitch rather than a word.
We're communicating with the giant sky whale right now.
Yes.
I have a plan to contribute from the surface.
Go ahead.
So meanwhile, while you two have been up there getting on top of the clouds and establishing the good vibes. Repose has been looking about the landscape below and firing up fivefold resonance stance in wood mode to just get a higher sense of what this place looks like wood-wise. Since we know that Jimbus grazes on plants, and so probably has some capacity to perceive arrangements of plants in order to, properly reach on down and grip them. And so then with that in mind, goes and finds some, big old piece of dead wood lying on the ground that seems large enough that it might be visible from the sky. Or, woodable.
Visible
we
via
will
the
not
senses.
assert what this wood sense looks like, but tangible chunk of wood. Something that is known to be as large as the things that Jimbus takes bites of.
Yeah.
And then
I was
getting that in
fully
hand.
expecting- I was fully expecting for when you said, while you were establishing the good vibes, it's time for me to establish the bad vibes.
Yes, actually.
Oh no!
Perfect.
Since the goal here is to pick up that chunk of wood, give it a good bit of a hearty swinging around. Just to be like, hey, wood moving. And persist at that for a little while.
There is a pseudopod that goes from casually grazing to directly pointing at you and hesitating in place. Clearly actually using a projection off the pseudopod in some form of essence sight or other detection. Pointing directly at the wood as, what the hell? There's no wind here.
Well then, while walking pretty briskly with this caber in hand, begin to slowly write out giant Old Realm letters. Just with the path that he walks. Just start to spell out west wrong, life go east.
Fucking roll me finesse embassy with a stunt. This is a difficulty 7 to get this across.
Wood-wise.
I knew deciding not use the thing that would solve the problem would be funnier.
You were really, really right.
All right.
Never doubt me.
Further stunt activity I am going to propose is that after Repose has managed to trace out this word, then just take the log and give it a hefty toss into the air to thoughtful gift technique.
Yep.
You sons of bitches!
And just checking if I have Embassy Excellency.
Have I mentioned lately that I have the best players?
So 11 dice and double 9s. That makes 9.
Okay, yeah. No, the double 9s is how you got a success off that. Alright, so there is a very, very confused pause as the stick, well, honestly, the most of a dead tree goes sailing into the air with your hoist. The pseudopod actually tracks it up, and you feel that just watching, the usual response would be to immediately snatch and then move towards mouth, but there's just this this comprehending and thus uncomprehending equivalent of a stare at it, talking wood. What?
Wood that thinks.
Lunch that talks! Literate plants! What's literacy? There's a very clear reaction for Angler in the tonal, such confusion is, I understood that. What? Just this simultaneously trying to respond to you via pitch and also trying to respond to the wood via pitch of just, what?
Angler uses wind carried words down to Repose. What are you doing? Because I can't see anything Repose is doing.
Yeah, basically, Jimbus didn't know that Jimbus was literate. and Jimbus is still not very literate, but Old Realm is just baked so deeply into Gaian behemoths that, yeah, they would be able to recognize very basic iconography, which is what Repose thought to use. And so Jimbus is sitting there going, wait, whoa, those shapes meant something. Those shapes made me think things. What?
I know this. It's Unix.
When carried words back, I've attempted to make contact. I said, west bad, go east.
At this point, with your exalted strength, the tree is still twirling in the air and has roughly reached the apex of where it is thrown, and the pseudopod just gently catches it, and then brings it up to the top of the mantle, and very gently for Jimbus, and I'm gonna say, hang on one sec. Oh. Angler, roll me force resistance, because Jimbus is attempting to very gently poke you with an entire tree, inquisitively, like, hey, do you speak tree? Because what the fuck? Well, so from your end, you are being, like, knocked over with a tree. Although you are able to, because Jimbus is being very slow and gracious, see this coming, dig your feet in, knuckle down, and grab the tree and not get crushed.
Actually, I think Angler's going to flip on his back right before he gets there because he doesn't want his gloves or his boots to dig into Jimbus. And grab it with his hands and feet to push it away, or at least not crush him.
You are able to not take damage after this, but it's basically, you can tell from the tonal variation and the general gesticulation is, help? What? Help.
Wait, what?
You both talk, therefore, please explain.
What does that say?
Down there?
I'm pointing at the tree that was thrown up to us because Milan can't read Old Realm.
Yeah, Milan does not know what's going on. Milan was not using when carried words or understanding what's going on.
Right. Repose said west bad, east life, I believe is what you said, Repose?
Yes.
East life, west.
Some like very raw composition of danger over there, safety over there.
Occult assembly code for the
Milan's doing a scene. West bad, east life. Jimbus follows the dragon line, so it can't see. Angler, you know how to draw, right?
Yes.
We need to draw Jimbus a map. Like,
okay.
Like,
you're gonna draw the.
Milan's looking around. I got it. Okay, so normally for drawing, you need a canvas and some paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Milan gestures around to Jimbus. Jimbus will be our canvas, and then I got it. We'll use our essence to paint the map of the dragon lines to convey that no, you need to stop following it this way. You need to go back the other way.
Okay.
And Milan pulls out that artistic map, like, here. This is what we need to draw.
Idea. And then Angler taps Milan on the shoulder and uses spirit writing technique. You can show me that way. That's a lot of juice. Okay.
Well, yeah, you are like multi-threading the Jimbus noises and this, and oh god.
Okay, if we're gonna thread it.
Actually, roll me fortitude integrity to not actually have sensory overwhelm by doing this.
Me or Angler?
Angler.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Nah, you're gonna have to pick one thing to stop doing, or else you are going to not be able to function because you are taking too many inputs.
Okay. I'm gonna snap out of that sense writing technique. No, I need to make sure that I'm talking with Jimbus. That's not gonna work. And then Angler's still at this point kind of holding the tree and then pauses and goes, you want to put our essence in the tree and use that as the stencil?
Milan's already got a hand on the tree.
Yeah, alright. So...
Okay,
Go on.
I was going to do a finesse craft.
Yep. And Angler can roll that as an assist roll as well.
Yeah. Before Angler does this, since he's using the tree, I have been keeping track of motes. I still have a few left. It's starting to use a bunch up though. Gonna need a nap after this. And Angler's going to use where is it? Current sweeps to the sea, which is in essence the thing where he can use water tendrils to grab things in order to better grab the tree to use it.
All right.
Okay. So I roll first and add that to the successes to Milan's roll, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this is a craft what roll?
Finesse.
Finesse. Or whatever. I'm going finesse because that's my...
Sorry, really good art.
There's a lot of good art happening right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a craft. I think Angler's
like
going to have to use force for this because he is picking up the tree to do this.
Yep.
And then with a stunt, we'll make it that, and we're working together. So add 1 onto that, and I don't have a craft roll, so
no, the beneficiary gets.
Oh well, let me reroll that then. I'm sorry. That would just be 8, which is 2 successes to you.
2 successes. Okay, Darren, I would like to use the iconic air dragon ability, Eye of the Hurricane. Short-term benefits rarely sway the air aspect. Add successes equal to the Exalted Essence on rolls to persuade or inspire a target towards a long-term goal.
All right, you're gonna have to burn at least 10 motes to get to iconic.
Can do.
Yeah, you can use it on charms or and count any mote expenditures for excellencies and things like that.
Yeah.
But anything else, you need to get up to 10 total spent.
Okay.
Put it all on the tree.
Yeah, so what Milan's doing is Milan using his motes and essence to draw a map of the dragon lines and draw onto Don't a like big scary like, hey, no, this is bad. Like he's drawing a lot of the opposite elements here.
Honestly, your sagacity is high enough, and you've been with Repose enough. You would probably know a old realm sigil for Malthian, or just like
yeah,
like
I'm gonna
just bad, like capitally bad.
All right. So while I'm doing this, I'm also going to send a Wind Carried Words message to Repose. Hey, Repose, I got a Old Realm question.
You send along the question?
Yeah. Wind Carried Words would be.
I know.
Yeah.
Look, it's Milan's sending a DM of, hey, I've got a question, and not actually,
or just deliberately dragging it out to.
What is the Old Realm sigil for Unity? Like Unity of the Elements.
I would almost certainly say that's a pentagram.
Okay, because Milan is going to draw that right here on the map.
Well, okay, so Repose can reply back. Are you using it as a leading vowel or
leading vowel, noun, conjunctive verb?
I'm using it as you would on a proper noun, not proper noun. That's
actually, because it would be a statement of this is where unity is.
Yeah.
Do you mean something named unity? Do you?
Yes.
Like, this is where the elements are aligned, or concept of alignment of the elements. Old Realm is a very finicky language.
There's going to be a pause and then, yes, leading vowel.
This is why I don't know it. It's worthless.
So I'm just going to roll the sagacity.
Yeah,
roll.
and then you'll get back like a calligraphy description of how to construct the shape.
Yeah, just a verbal description of the calligraphy strokes.
6 successes.
All right, so you're...
And that's not... I didn't include Eye of the Hurricane because I don't think I can actually spend I'd have enough to actually spend 10 motes.
Oh, do you not have enough in the? You should.
No, I have the mote. I have the motes. It's just okay. I'm painting with it, so I'm just dumping the motes into empty.
Yeah, basically what I'm saying is like I will rule that you could just burn a mote to get an anima, even if you're not doing anything else with it, because that feels like a rule that should exist.
Okay, so that is 10 successes to say, here Malfian, here bad, life here. Hey, do you want to come to our meeting?
So swamp bad,
danger here.
Plants good east.
Plants over there. Party over here.
Nail is party unity. So
Milan has invited Jimbus to the meeting.
One moment, please, while I think for a moment.
Angler is thinking in his head, there's going to be a massive high five to Milan after this one. Hell yes.
There is a long, confused pause as it is feeling the traces of essence across the mantle, as it is quite literally absorbing it because it is air and wood aspected, which delicious. And then when it absorbs the part of the ley line imagery that conveys what is in the swamp, there is actually visible from the ground, like all of the pseudopods and tendrils recoil upwards like a good 100 feet of just like a full body. Ah! So it is very visibly obvious that Jimbus has noticed and processed what that means of just, bad, 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 bad. Primal instinctual response of nope, 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 nope. And it almost feels like you didn't even really need to draw down the East Good, just because it would be turning the hell around and getting away from don't. And then it pauses when you draw the Unity symbol over the pillar, and it stops, and it's just a tonal response to Angler of what? Just a very clear indication of more information. Do not understand. Curious.
You're going to have to be a little more specific than that, bud.
Okay, Milan is going to
Congratulations, you went and invited the local super bear to Parliament.
Yep. Milan is going to draw one of each element coming from all the different villages. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to meet in there, and that forms the unity of all the elements. So he's trying to convey, okay, all of these elements are coalescing here. Milan's attempting to communicate with something that doesn't understand and is trying his best.
Yeah, basically the response Angler gets is neat.
Yes.
You're trying to invite something that
I know
does not socialize.
I'm aware of this.
It's not even clear it understands that imagery as socialization. It's here is a gathering of all the elements. Okay.
I know.
I'm enjoying this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Angler's gonna pause and go, can you give me the symbol for protection? Because we could say protection from the Malfias. But if you want to push it, otherwise, I don't think Jimbus wants to go.
All right.
No, I'm saying give it one more shot. But after that. Also, hold on. I am saying give it one more shot because I am seeing triple right now, and I really need this to finish up soon.
Okay, Milan is going to...
Jimbus.
Milan is going to attempt just a roll to resolve this off, and we can just leave it there.
Yeah, sure.
So I think it would be funnier if this is an embassy role as Milan is attempting to.
You are trying to do this bureaucratically rather than
Yes.
spiritually.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think the best response in chat so far is you're inviting a whale to your G8 conference.
Well, they have a perfectly cromulent reason to be there.
I mean, if
They
we
have
can
a
get
whale of a
Jimbus to
reason
just
to be there.
rain a bit on the impact crater, that would probably be very nice for the restoration.
Actually, that would be a good line of argument if Milan would use it.
Okay, with 8 successes, Milan's going to okay, he's not getting the imagery. I'm just going to convey bring water here, and the water being Jimbus.
Yeah. And then it combines with ley lines, and then there is a sudden response under Angler's feet. Earth, no water. Earth, with water. Wood? Wood, food. Wood, life. Water, go. And there's again the sensation of just, oh, wait, are you asking me to go put plants there? Yeah, okay, sure. Why didn't you say so? Are you telling me there's lunch over there and I just have to go make it? All right. It has been accepted as an input of, hey, you have to grow it yourself, but there's food over there.
Garden. Understood.
Forcibly making Yamasukami an actual character in this campaign. Congratulations.
Yup.
So Angler's going to get this. Milan is not going to get this information. And just well, I've tried everything I could think of.
Yep. I think they're okay with that. They're going to go make food. Yeah, I can get us. You can get down by yourself, right?
Can you get down? Are you okay?
I'll be fine. I got one last question I want to ask this thing. And Angler's going to pause for a second. And then he's going to take off his boots to make sure he doesn't, actually seen the thing. He took his boots off as soon as he got on top of that thing. Yep. Because, come on. And then he's going to pause. And then everything else has been working through Milan, a very confident, very deep pulse to make sure that the message is plain. And this one's going to be more of a hesitant at start. And then he pauses. And then, Ripples on a Water is going to convey, smaller versions of him on back of Jimbus and a question mark for that. Can they come see you sometime? Dang.
Shrug. It is not a yes or a no. It is a matter of, I'm not sure what you're asking, but it doesn't. Whatever. Okay.
Okay, that'll be
just
another point.
Kind of a response of just. I don't know.
All right, Angler, grab onto my waist. I'll get you down.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't think I can see straight right now.
Yeah, you are absolutely flaring your anima at this point as well because of all of your exertion.
I think if I was reading that right, I think I hit 9, so I was down to 3 left. I could have gotten down, but it would have been real bad.
So yeah, Milan is able to help glide down with Angler to the bottom, where Jimbus has immediately turned and reposed notes with curiosity to the northwest rather than to the east, and is setting off in that direction.
I'm just joking. We're fine.
Yeah, thanks. You needed to say that, otherwise I was going to jump another 50 feet in the air and just glide. By the way, never done that before. That is terrifying. How do you do it?
You should spend time with Yang more.
Yeah, I know you shot, that actually shooting through the sky thing was pretty cool.
Eventually paraglide down, Repose has assembled a bunch of prototype bundles of grass that he is sorting out into the shapes of large words. Just kind of like putting them down, stepping back, getting a good vantage point on them from like the top of a mound. Just kind of thinking, experimenting.
Well, I think we did it. Repose. We got it. We got across to Jimbus.
Ah, good.
You might want to explain where Jimbus is going, though.
Oh yeah, I invited Jimbus to our conference. Seems interested?
Prolonged pause and dead stare.
Again, you cast your gaze to the horizon. That is going towards the nail. That is the northwest.
If we have need of future conversation with it, and it's plausible we will in that case, if we were able to make such an impact. Pointing over at the at like the test bed for just wood font.
Milan's going to make
an appropriate background. This should produce reasonable contrast, perhaps.
Can Milan make an embassy roll at this to bureaucracy at this font?
Propose has remained in wood trance and is observing the wood energies.
You might want to work on the kerning between some of these symbols, but it looks pretty good. I'm sorry, I was setting that up just to make a kerning joke.
Mia, see yourself out. Okay. You're good.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
No, come back, friend.
There they go.
Successful investigation of Jimbus.
I think that can be a scene.
That's that scene. And
what's anyone else doing?
What is going on elsewhere at this point?
Yeah, what are we doing?
That would be Old Man, Repose, and Obsidian, and what they would be doing at the moment. I know that Obsidian was going to eventually go talk to the Immaculate Monastery. Probably for the best if Yang didn't go.
No.
Does Yang have a particular group of people on this list of the Caduce that Yang would be interested in seeing personally?
I'm not actually really sure what I should do with Yang, and I'm still thinking about that.
Okay.
I might even do anything this session, that's fine.
Alright, I was just, double checking.
The results of this experiment will be passed along to Shorin of... Jimbus has some knowledge of words, and...
That's pretty cool.
That it was possible to make contact by way of large wooden figures. Speculation as to possible effective tools for wood speak.
No, it's fine. I haven't been saying anything until like the last 5 minutes, so that's why I was muted while talking. So I thought the thought process was we were going like...
Yeah.
So this is where the monks are, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't this have occur first?
Yeah. If we were going counterclockwise as a group, yes. But if we split up, then, going differentially.
Well, I sent some representatives here, but I feel like for the major cities, the person who is coming up with this idea should be communicating. Scenes will occur, except for here, because this one goes, "Hey, Repose, you're gonna have a seat there, right?" And Repose goes, "Yeah, I guess so." So anyway, Jade Orchid. Would Angler meet up with Obsidian at Jade Orchid?
Wait. Angler. Oh, right. Sorry. I thought you were jumping to the scene in the southwest. I'd say hi. Sure. Yeah. If you were going to hand out the thing, go for it.
All right.
Arriving with business cards.
I arrive with business cards to the person that I spent 2 months on a boat with. Anyway, it's we are doing this formal. No, that is the idea. Is no special privileges to anyone.
No favoritism.
Yes. So would show up to, I don't know what building Cascade is in right now.
The main governmental building.
Yeah. Would knock on the door.
Come on in.
Opens the door and comes in.
Oh, Obsidian, good to see you.
Hi, hello. So, take a minute to pause.
I guess I shuffle in behind you.
Well, I stepped into the room. If you want to come in, like I didn't know if you were.
Actually, you know what? Angler was probably already there, and he just told you to show up whenever, man. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Would look at. Have you mentioned the idea, my idea, to her at all? Okay.
Because I didn't want to show any favoritism.
Good point. Would hand the invitation to Cascade.
She takes it and is immediately taken aback at the quality of it. Whoa. No favoritism, and then you hand me this?
They all look like that. Repose made them.
Double take again. Alright. She's very gingerly handling it before she realizes that it's an invitation as she's reading it.
At the... What is it? Is the nail called the machine that kills...
It's just called the nail.
The nail, okay. At the nail, in insert amount of time that we did not actually discuss here, there will be hopefully a meeting of the representatives of each major settlement and those of significant influence in the area. And your appearance would be much appreciated, as I am proposing an alliance of this fraction of the 100 Kingdoms.
Her eyebrows are raised as she's looking it over.
It is a seat in a round table where every vote counts equally. No one has any more sway over the other. Your vote will count just as much as Greyfall's.
That's reassuring, she says.
I have had discussion with the what's the name of the person? Satrap. I have had discussion with Satrap on this as well.
Huh.
The Satrap, technically. Satrap is a title.
That's the title, yeah.
Yeah.
And how many other people have you gotten on board with this so far?
I forget. We never actually did a scene for Riftwood.
We didn't do scenes of it, but it was pretty clear.
Clay Bottom, the East North.
Yeah. So yeah,
the branding is undeniably strong. And we have our history of we have saved you from various kinds of evil.
All three of you owe us your entire asses. Get over here.
Would hold up a finger and say, "Well, there's the Satrap, so Grey Falls." Did you tell her what we did in Riftwood,
yes.
aka Swamp? Yeah, okay. So Swamped In, as they are going by now, as they would wish to excise the tumor completely.
Actually, you know what? Riftwood as a name for the region.
Riftwood is actually a very clever turn on it.
That's probably what it was called before, and then like somebody fucked up and wrote Riftword on the guild paperwork, and that stuck.
It's towards the rift, right?
Riftwood. There we go.
Yeah, it's Riftwood. He would say swamp trees are all split and forked.
He would pick up a finger and say Riftwood, and she'd be like, "Don't you mean Riftword? No, Riftwood.
No, it's Riftwood.
It's Riftwood now
because the trees have holes in them.
Swamped on Riftwood.
I speak for the trees. Tree say shut the fuck up.
What's that? Clay Bottom, New East Northton. I am going by that is the name of the town.
It is. That is whoop. Wrong layer.
I broke something for a second. What just happened?
I grabbed the entire map rather than shit.
Oh no.
And would say, that is as far as we have traveled so far. Obviously, Trident River being the town that Repose sees over won't be hard to convince. God's Breath River, we'll take some discussion with Bureaucrat, but I don't see that being too hard either. We will make ourselves known. The offer will be given up to Koi and our animal friends to the northeast. And then the province does exist. We will have discussions with the monks.
Well, you seem to already have pretty close to a plurality, if not a majority, on your side, so even if I had a reason to object, which I certainly don't, I'd be interested in getting my voice in on the chamber, so, of course.
Fantastic, then.
And she does lay down the invitation very briefly, and looks over to Angler. So how long have you been planning this behind my back?
Planning?
How long has this been an idea behind my back?
Well, the idea has been mostly Obsidian's. It has really formed only in the past little bit. However, hold on, let me finish up Obsidian. Okay. I need to dig my own hole. However, we discussed this earlier that we did not want to show any favoritism, so if I gave you a heads up ahead of time, it would not be the same invitation to everyone else.
I understand that. I'm just more impressed that you kept your mouth shut.
It was really hard. I had to spill all the other beans instead.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you're actually still keeping in the cabinet because you're like that.
Correct.
For what it's worth, for myself, it's been an idea since we were in the Isles of... This isn't the worst idea on paper. The Isles just fucks it up. As far as how long has Angler known, only probably about a couple weeks.
She nods. Well, I look forward to hearing the responses from the rest of them, and I hope that it goes well.
Would bow and take my leave.
Remember to go find Burr.
Waves as walks out of the room without turning back.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do imagine that there is a scene, because do not show favoritism, of Obsidian was handed all the invitations and then immediately hands one back to Repose.
Yep.
Did you make yourself your own invitation?
They're really nice. Why not?
Is that a mantelpiece thing?
Repose absolutely strenuously denying that Repose ever made a nice thing for his own sake, ever. Absolutely not. Purely for the job description.
Repose made one for Trident River Valley, forgetting that he was the local leader of Trident River Valley.
This belongs to everyone.
So, I feel like we got time for one more visit.
So
that would be
if we are doing these as group things of such, like me and another character, which seems to have been how each one has gone down at this point.
Yeah, you and whoever wants to show up at this point because of how things have aligned now.
As stated, no reason to really talk to Repose. The invitation was handed over and Repose would show up. Does anybody want to show up for Steel?
I would show up for Steel.
Yep, as I was figuring.
Repose arrives in Trident River, shuffles into Monastery, which has probably received more repair than he said should be done on it in his absence.
There is absolutely a lot of unnecessary ornamentation that got snuck in while you were away.
He does a lot of you didn't have to do that, just a lot of non-compliment complaining about why'd you make it so nice? Look at you all being productive. No, go easy on yourselves. What is this?
Obsidian arrives in the town, would say, shall we take the rope bridge?
Install the card in a nice public outlet that is visible to all to be consulted. Leave out a sign-up sheet for anyone who would like to be part of representative entourage. Instructions, have people, convey the news back and forth to the surrounding villages.
All of the Grey Robes put their names on officially in full documentation, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
All
right, so
up the rope.
Trip up the ropeway is uneventful. Looks like it has already gotten a decent amount of traffic. Not a huge amount, but it has been used. There has been transit across from messages and, shipments of goods. Not very much, because, rope bridge across a cliff, but they're making it work. They're figuring, small shipments out, little passages back and forth, establishment of some people who want to just go out and check out, hey, I've never really been over to that other part of this town or this region. I want to see what it's like down there, up there. Things like that. Mail, other things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, rope bridge is ascended, and capital of God's Breath River is entered, which really should sort these notes out at some point and put the names in a more cohesive spot. But it is... now it is actually getting into, near the end of Ascending Wood into Resplendent Wood. So it is getting to the start of the early harvest seasons and the height of the growth of other ones. So there are a lot of plants that are beginning to get harvested just, within the past few days, and a lot of fields that are still being, having the last rounds of weeding done. A lot of attention is being paid to them. The rice paddies are gorgeous. There are immense fields of wheat and medicinal wildflowers that are just rolling in the wind. It is absolutely beautiful looking to be at this area at this time of season. It is just very well maintained. Sometimes the Tactics OST has a sense of timing, and sometimes it doesn't. The crew is able to get up to the administrative buildings as usual. Much like last time, you are met with just a very staid, bureaucratic kind of greeting. They do recognize Obsidian on site immediately, as well as Repose after a brief moment. So the process of getting in, filing your paperwork, and getting in through to speak with Steel is quicker than it was last time, as you are now, the local neighboring ruler rather than rando schmucks doing a petition. And as you go inside, Steeltharian Bureaucrat is actually behind their desk, sorting out a list of ledgers that look like they are requests for additional aid to do last-minute weeding in some of the provinces downriver, and some other related agricultural reports and taxation reports that you can see from a glance. Seems to be mostly routine stuff rather than paperwork that says things are on fire, which is a good thing to see. Looks up. Brother Repose and Officer Obsidian? Captain Obsidian?
Captain. I haven't been an officer in many years.
My mistake, I apologize. How can I help you?
I really should think of better startups for this conversation.
It says, it fits Obsidian to not think about it until on the spot of wait, I should have done this.
Sliding closer, pull business card out of his pocket, place business card on table, slide it over.
Right, we have an entrance for each of these anyway. Hello. In once again, date to be determined. in insert date here.
Nebulous time vortex.
There will be a conference of the leaders of each major city and those of significant influence in the area at the Nail.
Steel is nodding.
In order to enact a sort of alliance of the nations of this section of the gods, the Gods River, of the 100 Kingdoms.
Economic, military.
All?
Yes. There's a kind of flash of mild surprise across the face. Ambitious.
Well, I think the past year has shown that something, has interest in this area and deems to cause mischief. And
I believe mischief would be a rather polite term for it.
Correct. And no one city is equipped to handle it. And frankly, for as well as me and my companions have dealt with these problems, we won't always be around.
Of course.
Well, some looks at repose. Some will, but not all.
The intention is understood, and any sort of governmental body or protective alliance or network that relies on the individual abilities of a few of the chosen is doomed to fail the moment that those pieces are out of place anyway.
And of course, the other intention of this is to hope to prevent any situations of what may have happened over the course of the year looks in the direction of the former empire, of sort of having a system of checks and balances in the way, so that if any one nation decide to maybe move against the rest of them, well, they would have to deal with the alliance.
The rest of the Confederation, of course, yes. That makes complete sense to me. And I'm assuming the purpose of this collective meeting would be to hash out the exact details in terms of economic loaning to each other, the nature of diplomatic alliances, making sure no one party is too overly taxed by this.
More or less, yes. In order to hash out the details of the initial establishment. And the biggest note and factor of this is that as far as the final voting and taking part in everything, all parties participating are equal.
Ideal.
In that, for instance, part of this alliance is, in fact, Grey Falls. Grey Falls gets one vote.
Raising an eyebrow. Interesting.
I mean, of course, the hardest person and the person with the group with the most power to begin with, I actually approached them first, and they were fine with this prospect, so.
Have you accounted for how these votes are going to be determined? Is there an individual that is appointed by each of the Alliance members, or is it going to be collective choice? Or is it going to be something such as if there's an individual, in my case, if it was myself, would it be my successor who inherits my vote? Would it be a collective body of the people?
It would be more often than not, for now, with good relations with all of the zones, and feeling a pretty good judge of character, it's easy enough for us to give the invitation to those that we feel are the proper representatives. Down the line, probably someone elected by the people of the town in order to proper express the wants and needs of the town, the person that they feel is the proper representative.
Then why play Kingmaker ahead of time if you trust the town's judgments ahead of time? There's a slight smile of, I'm not saying this is a bad idea, I'm just... It is steel-tearing bureaucrats' nature to poke at proposals like this.
Obsidian would rub his chin and say, I won't deny that I am handing them out and picking them myself, but if I had to guess, the people that I am picking would be the people that the town would pick themselves. So I am more or less skipping a step. Sort of a, like, backhanded compliment of, because you're the one that they would pick.
There is a light shrug. I suppose, perhaps not. Either way, it's something that may be brought up at the conference by other more belligerent voices than my own in terms of this. Merely an idea that I would wish you to look out for in advance. While this conversation is going on, they are actually still kind of doing paperwork out of the corner of their eye, but then they kind of look back up to you and think for a moment. Sorry, this is me finding the right words for it, not being careful.
Okay.
I have a fairly good understanding of your personal motivation, if I'm correct, but I still would like to ask more explicitly. What brings you to drive such an immense change across this region that, by all accounts, you could simply pull up your stakes and sail away and do business elsewhere?
Crosses arms, sort of tilts the head, thinking. I suppose it's, if I had to give an honest answer, it's just my nature. I've been in this region long enough that I'd hate to see any one area of it fall to ruin because I wasn't there. So I'd like for them to be able to protect themselves. And the way I see it, based off of what's happened here, as stated before, not many, there are areas of this area, there are regions of this area, I should say, that wouldn't be able to. So making sure that the others are looking out for them is the best way I can handle that.
There's a pleased smile and a nod, although after you mention the because I wasn't here, there's a twinkle in the eyes before they smile slightly and say, now I believe it should be your brother who's the one who's used to the weight of the world by the way that the elements chose you, am I not, right?
I've always been told there's a good bit of earth in me.
What is obsidian, after all, if not the cross between the two?
Also, as a coincidence, me and him may go back a bit further than we thought.
Oh, truly? Well, suppose all of us do. Remember, Steel Terran Bureaucrat is an air aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad such things worked out, and if it was not clear, I was merely asking these questions as a curiosity. My answer was set the moment you handed me the invitation, personally. I trust in your judgment, and I trust you enough to give this a full and dedicated attempt to make it work. I will be there, and I will be representative of the interests of the God's Breath River and its people. And I hope this leads to a brighter future.
As do I.
There is one last glance over to Repose. By the way, am I correct in estimating that you were the artist of this? Gestures to the wood block printing.
Very quiet, slow, ominous nod.
I must compliment you, as this is by far the highest quality craftsmanship of wood block printing I have ever seen. And I do not say such things lightly, as we have quite a many very talented craftsfolk in our own region, and I have seen quite a few things traveling through our trading depots. I would not be so crass as to suggest any sort of commoditization of such a thing, but I merely wish it to be known and to be said out loud that I am deeply, deeply humbled and grateful for such a beautiful expression of artistic talent to be gifted upon me for such matters as this.
More quiet nodding, more internal pleasant vibration. Just like, yeah, yeah, I do the thing.
At the silent kind of slight nods and very low expression. If I have overstepped my boundaries and being too effusive with praise, I apologize. I simply enjoy pointing out quality when I see it. It tends to reinforce the artisan. That's that. I believe we can call that a session. As next time we can wrap up the circuit and then go into the meeting.
Parliament 2! That's right, baby!
All comes back to Parliament.
Parliament like 3 or 4 at this point.
Parliament of teeth.
Teeth! Nails and teeth! Nails and teeth!
Next time.